Hello, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching today's video. Today's video is going to be a retro anime movie review, and the movie in question is Belladonna of Sadness. Okay, so before I get into the actual production and when it came out and all that good stuff, let me talk a little bit about the plot of this movie. I don't want to go into too much detail. It's actually pretty simple. It's the movie Belladonna of Sadness is actually based on a French novel that was written in 1862 called, I think, La Sorcière Tragédie de Belladonna, or Belladonna for short. So the anime is based on this kind of tragedy, this tragic story of a woman, and that's what this movie is. It's a tragedy. Sadness is very apt here. So it basically starts off with a young couple. They get married, but in order for the marriage to be official, they have to go to their lord, who has to approve it. And usually, what you have to do is give some type of offering to the lord, so that they say, yes, you're married, and as far as we're concerned, you are now husband and wife. So the husband sells the only cow that they have on their farm, takes the gold, offers the gold to the lord. The lord takes one look at the guy's wife, Jean, and decides that he has to have her. And then the lord says to the husband, he says, well, I will accept this marriage. I will officiate it. I will call this marriage official if you give me 10 cows. And of course, they don't have 10 cows. They only had the one cow that they sold. And he says this, and he's like, my lord, can you figure a way around this? Can we? I don't have the cows to give you. And he says, and so the lord is like, no, you had to give me 10 cows. So the wife says, is your wife chaste? And everybody in the room is like, yeah, she's a virgin. She's wonderful. She's this lovely girl. And Jean is just the pride of our village. So the wife of the Lord says, well, we will absolve you of the tax if the Lord can have Jean. So Jean's husband is grabbed by the guards, thrown out of the castle, and taken to the bedchambers, and is made to have sex with the Lord against her will. And there's a whole 10-minute, seems like 10 minutes, 10-minute long non-consensual sex scene. That's the best way I can put it. And it's not graphic, but it's still horrific. It's really pretty bad. So she comes back to the farm, and he's sitting, her husband is sitting there, and he's just in total misery. He's broken about this because there's nothing he could do to prevent it. And he tries to strangle her because he's so angry at the situation. Then he realizes what he's doing. He's just like, and he runs away. So Jean is sitting there, and then suddenly this little sex imp shows up and crawls up her skirt and gives her pleasure. And at the end of it, she is upset, and the little sex imp says, look, your husband's dying, and he's not going to make it through the winter. But I can help you if you let me go back up there again. She acquiesces, and then their lives get better. Their lives do get better. But as you come to find out that every time that their lives get better, the little demon kind of twists things so that they get worse when they go down. So each time, what he's trying to do is get a little bit more of her soul, a little bit more of her body, so that by the time he's done, he has her consumed. And this is just a basic story of how basically even the purest person can be corrupted and wind up being damned for all eternity. So that's what this anime movie is about. It's a very simple story, but it just keeps going up and down like that. So it's this non-stop cycle of good times, really bad times, forced to have sex with this demon, who, by the way, grows larger and turns into different things each time they have sex. At one point, he looks like a sex toy. It's kind of weird. And so it goes on to this continuous cycle for 90 minutes. So that's the story. It's pretty, and as you can imagine, it's pretty sad. And all the crap that she has to go through, this woman has to go through, is pretty horrific. And it's just, the title is apt, Belladonna of Sadness. So let's get into the actual production of this anime. Belladonna of Sadness took close to 5 years to make. And it was started in about late 1966 and early 67, and it was released in 1972, not in America, but in Japan, and I think parts of Europe, and it went to the Berlin Film Festival, a film festival in Berlin, and where I don't think it did very well. It was the last in a trilogy of movies called Anime Rama, and this trilogy of movies was made at Mushi Productions, which is the original Mushi Productions, which Osamu Tezuka founded after he left Toei, or Toei left him, or however that worked. So what happened there was that the first two movies, which are 1001 Nights and Cleopatra, they're definitely anime. They try new techniques in the animation, but it's still grounded in animation. And Osamu Tezuka was definitely involved in the first two movies. Like he wrote the script, he wrote the storyboards, he wrote the character art, the whole 9 yards. When it came to the third movie, Belladonna of Sadness, he wasn't that involved. I think he drew the storyboards. I think he had an interest of what story to use, and then he gave it up to the director, who is Ichi Yamamoto. Now, Ichi Yamamoto is actually kind of perfect director for this particular movie, because these three movies of the Anime Rama are adult movies. This is in the early 70s, so when you have animation like what you see on this today, would probably give a good R rating. Back then they would get X ratings. So actually, they were one of the first handful of movies after Fritz the Cat in America to get X-rated movies. Well, except for the Belladonna of Sadness. The other two got the X ratings. So what happened was that the production was completely different than the other two. It is barely anime. Like, technically it's anime. Because in the character design of the lead female character, Jean, and a couple other animation sequences are definitely anime. But otherwise, the movie is totally not that. It's very, and I'm not the first person to pick up on it, but it's based on the art of Klimat, or Klimet. I forget how you pronounce the name, but it's Klimat. I'll have the link down below. He's famous for a painting he did called The Kiss. Anyway, so the art style is in that, and what the artist did was he created this huge tapestry. So each scene would be a huge tapestry, and quite simply, the camera would just pan across it slowly at a certain timed rate to a score of music, which was very 70s-esque porn music, basically. And, overlaid with some dialogue, not a whole lot of dialogue. And so the movie kind of goes on like that. Now, other than the handful of animation sequences that were animation, there's a lot of other animation sequences in there. I would say probably about 15% of it is very psychedelic. So a lot of images merging into other ones, and it's not making a whole lot of sense, and it's very trippy, and clearly you need to be high to watch this. I'm not joking. This is an art house film, so they kind of do that. So the other 5% of the animation was animation, and all the rest of it is just this tapestry pan that they do. By the time that Mushi Productions released this movie, again, they didn't release Belladonna of Sadness in America like they did with the first two of the Anime Rama series. And it was so bad, nobody liked it. Critics panned it. Nobody wanted to go to the theater. So it just couldn't win for losing. And it had a huge budget, not a huge budget, but a large budget for the time. And Mushi Productions was already in financial straits. The Anime-Rama movie series didn't do what they thought it was going to do and hit the art house porn market and make money that way. And it actually bankrupted Mushi Productions. And that's what caused the original Mushi Productions to close, was this one movie, Belladonna of Sadness. So now that I've talked a little bit about the production and how it's very mediocre at best, let me tell you a little bit more about how I feel about this movie. Okay, as you can tell, I'm not impressed by this movie. So why did I watch this movie to begin with? Well, a couple different reasons. First of all, if you're a cinephile and animation is part of what you watch, Belladonna of Sadness usually pops up in various lists or critic reviews and things like that, where they say, oh, it's this most wonderful thing, and it's in the top 10 and or the top 20, and it's the best thing to come out of Japan in 1972, and it's the best thing ever, and all this, that, and a bag of chips. So if you're a cinephile and you haven't seen it yet, then it's a movie that's probably going to be on your list. So I've been meaning to watch this for a long time, and I really didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know it was Japanese. Okay, first of all. So last week, I was on a Zoom, not meeting, but just like a Zoom get-together, and with Brent from Geek Archaeology, and we were trying to figure out what to watch, all of us together, and on Zoom. And one of the things that we saw was the first 3 or 4 minutes of Belladonna of Sadness. It looked like, to me, Yellow Submarine kind of thing going on. It looked interesting. The music was a little bit pornish, and like I said before, and that should have been my clue. And I was just like, afterwards, even though we only watched about 3 or 4 minutes of it, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. All right, maybe I'll check it out. It's crap. It's garbage. Only because it doesn't age well. If this were 1972, and I was talking about it in 1972, I would probably be going, oh, you gotta watch this movie, the animation's trippy, the score is awesome, and in the context of the year 1972, of the early 70s, I think this movie was something. This was something that you wanted to go, oh, I've heard about this, I want to go see it, in 1972. In 2020, it doesn't age well. The animation is almost non-existent. The music is distracting. The story is bland, and it's a slog to get through. And it's not that it's emotionally traumatizing, but it's just, how many more times can you see someone get degraded? And after a while, you're just kind of like, I get the point. Do I really need to watch the end of this movie? And because I'm disciplined on these kinds of things, I watched through the end of the movie. I really actually wanted to turn it off and just walk away and just, read a manga. But, I think they kind of even knew that they had like a stinker on their hands when they didn't even bother to release it in the United States. I think part of it was because they knew they were going to get an X rating, and I think that people weren't going to watch it because of that, so it was a total failure. But what's interesting is that it got a re-release in the 2000s. In 2016, it was digitally remastered. So I did see a comparison, like just a couple scenes. The remastering does make it look a little bit better, but not by much. Again, it's edited down a little bit for American audiences, by about 7 or 8 minutes. It's just a bad movie, and I think the reason why that people continue to say that's a good thing is because there's nobody out there that says, no, this really isn't a good movie. So, as you know, reviews are meant to inform, so I am informing you that if you are a cinephile and you watch animation and you want to watch this movie so you can check off a box, go ahead and do that. You're not going to enjoy it. Get whiskey. I think the whiskey will get you through it. But it is, and also the other part of this is that it really is an adult movie. It's not for kids. So if you're under 18 out there and you're watching this video, give yourself a couple years before you watch this movie, and even then, I don't see why you should waste your time. Okay, so a couple more things before we end and wrap up this video. So I'm trying a couple new things, and I think last time I said something to the effect, check my blog site because I'm writing a couple stories that are related to the world building that we did at OnCon. And hopefully you'll like it. I don't know, maybe. But the other thing on that blog site is doing what I'm calling, and I'm putting heavy quotations, Unagi Radio. And all it is about 45 to 60 minutes worth of music. You can just click play and just listen to it. Each song begins with what the title is and who it's by, so in case you like it, you might want to use it. It's going to be everything from jazz to EDM to rock to punk to J-pop, K-pop if I have it. So just a lot of different stuff. So if you want to check it out, the link will be down below for the first one. And the second thing is I picked up a SciTube channel, and I want to do I want to present AMVs. I love AMVs, and I think more people should be watching them. So I'm kind of doing an AMV hour. It's not exactly an hour; it's give or take 5 or 10 minutes, but it's going to be a bunch of AMVs. I'm going to switch up every week, and again, the link will be down below. And maybe we'll do some fan dubs out there too. I'm thinking about putting Evangelion Re-Death up on there. Anyway, so those are some things to look out for. Again, the links will be down below. So that's all I have for you this week. And so again, my name is Steve Gearhart. This is the Unagi Observer. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you like what I do and you want to subscribe, I would love it if you subscribed it. Hit the subscribe button. If we get to 250 people, you get digital sushi. And who doesn't love digital sushi? Okay, enough of that. It's COVID-19 out there. Keep your face masks on. Practice your social distancing. Stay out of the way of the protests. I like you guys. I want to someday maybe meet all of you if I can. That would be great. Wouldn't that be great if I could meet all of you? That would be a lot of fun. So that means that you guys stay safe though. And so because I love you guys and I want you to keep watching these videos and I want to keep making these videos for you. So be well, be safe, and I'll see you next time.